Good evening, everyone. It's Prophet Aaliyah Connect. Today is Monday, January 20th of 2025. God bless you. Today is really a remarkable and special day. We are seeing a conjunction of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s day and the second inauguration of Donald Trump. He is now our 45th and our 47th president of the United States. Martin Luther King Jr. Day does not always fall on January 20th. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday is January 15th of 1929, which means he would be 96 today. So the day that we celebrate his life is near his birthday. Now, we've had much racial tension when it comes to this race between Donald Trump and what ultimately became Kamala Harris. And if we're being honest, it did feel like a black versus white campaign. And none of us wants to feel this way. And so while I could come on and talk to you about the 200 executive orders that were presented, including the mass deportations and the ending of the Paris Climate Treaty to save funds and the 14th Amendment threat to birthright citizenship. We can talk about all of that. But one thing that really struck me was in President Trump's speech, his very well written and well delivered speech, the first one that is, not the one at the rally. That one got a little ugly. But that first one was really nice. And I want to focus on one area. He talked about critical race theory and how he did not want it taught in early years because what sounded like he was saying was people who were not black were trying to love the children, but hateful concepts were being taught at an early age, and to summarize what he was saying. And so it was a love versus hate idea. And this was the first time that I've ever heard actually anyone explain it that way. Previously, it's been presented as, books are being banned, and some books do need to be banned. And, our history is being wiped away from schools. Now, that's important. It's important for our history to stay in schools, but I do agree with Trump in the sense that teaching students about slavery too early is not a good thing. We do need to protect their innocence. I wouldn't want my first, second, or third grader, or even fourth or fifth grader, to be learning about that level of detail in these days. I would want them to develop relationships with their peers and their teachers before being presented with the truth, which is the transatlantic slave trade and how African Americans got here. If we're going to have that conversation, I would prefer to have that conversation one-to-one with my child rather than having it be taught in schools, because I remember later on actually in life, I knew about slavery, but it wasn't really deeply presented to me until way later on. Like it was college where I started getting like the details of the transatlantic slave trade. And so throughout my years, I knew about it, but it wasn't something that needed to really be discussed in detail in the classroom. And that was healthy for me. I got a chance to see my teachers and my peers for who they were rather than looking at them through the lenses of what their ancestors did to my ancestors, which are now all of our founders. And so I appreciate that Trump was able to articulate the fact that it was about being loving first and desiring to love the children and desiring to create relationships with young black children being white people rather than the concept of hate being introduced to them, which would divide and possibly even create division before they begin to even love their country. And so being someone who stood up for the Pledge of Allegiance every day in elementary school, and I believe even middle school and part of high school, and being the young girl in school that remembers our senators coming in and talking to us and, coming out of their big fancy buildings and coming to our elementary classrooms to spend time with us. Like, I really got a chance to get to know my country and my teachers and being loved like parents by my teachers without knowing the brutal history that preceded all of us. And so as I reflect and as I go to sleep soon, I just wanted to impart that word to you that God is watching Trump. Okay. I made it very clear yesterday. God's warning to him if he overreaches in terms of power or doing anything wrong to even people of color in that first year. You can go back and listen to it. I'm not going to repeat everything here. I said it on Sunday. That was yesterday, the 19th. We are aware that we all serve a living God. But one thing I also know for sure is that as a whole, even and I don't like to use white versus black or anything, but I could sense that, again, the white people in the room did want to be loved and give love to people of color. You saw this with the marching band and how Trump did a little dance. That was the first time we saw him do a little dance, just to show that he was engaged with the all-black marching band. Now, his son Barron was a little uncomfortable because it is uncomfortable. It does kind of give that, I hate to say it, it does give a bit of slave-like energy. It does. I'm so sorry to have to say it that way. That was the overall feeling, and it made him feel uncomfortable. But it was like Trump kind of forced him to clap immediately because he paused in his clapping. It wasn't that he was trying to be disrespectful. It was just that the racial dynamics was a little overwhelming for him and for some of us with that presentation. But if we look beyond race, it was a presentation of honor that mimics the soldiers that we all revere. And so as we're just going through this complex, sort of awkward experience as being Americans, and blacks and whites and Asians and Hispanics and Indians all coming together and more to continue to build the foundation of our country and create a path of righteousness and fairness and justice for our future. I just want to acknowledge that our president did mention putting love first today. And as we navigate all of the decisions that he's going to be making, I just want us to all remember that that is a priority for him. So let's try to love him through this process and keep a close eye to ensure that the person that we are extending our love to is actually doing the right thing. God bless you, and I will see you for the next prophetic release.